To quote American statesman Benjamin Franklin, "Nothing in this world can be certain except for two things: death and taxes." The Sunmakers, the fourth serial of Doctor Who's 15th season, first broadcast in 4 parts from the 26th of November to the 17th of December 1977, and written by Robert Holmes. Now, apparently in an interview, Leela actress Louise Jameson actually said this was her favourite story that she filmed in Doctor Who. The more you know. Anyway, this was also the last script written or edited by script editor Robert Holmes, and he intended it to be kind of a dig at a personal bugbear of his, taxes, or the taxman. And yeah, looking at some of the finer details, you can definitely tell it is. The Doctor and his companions Leela, played by Louise Jameson, the Doctor played by Tom Baker at this point, and K9, voiced by John Leeson. The Doctor and K9 are in the middle of a chess game when they suddenly find that they have landed on the planet Pluto. Now, the Doctor is a bit concerned because he sees that Pluto suddenly has a human population. He's not entirely sure why. But it turns out that the people on the planet, they work for a big company. And previously they had worked on Earth, but then when Earth seemingly ran out of resources, in order to give it time to heal itself, they moved to Mars. And then when Mars ran out of resources, they moved to Pluto and set up a series of suns. Artificial suns, which the people on Pluto work to maintain so that they can live their lives. However, Pluto is heavily taxed. The people on Pluto are heavily taxed, and the Doctor and Leela end up encountering a man named Cordo, played by Roy McCready. And Cordo is in a bit of a tight spot because his father recently passed away, and he did everything that he thought he should do. He abided by his father's wishes, and he's just paid the taxes, but the taxman said, "Well, no, you haven't paid enough." He's like, "What? But I've followed the rates. I've been working double shifts. I've got enough in order to pay it off." To which the currency of Pluto at this point is Talmars. However, the head Gatherer Hay, played by Richard Leach, tells him, "Well, yes, but you're still 31 Talmars short. The rates went up after you made your deal, so now you totally have to pay the new rate." It's like, "Well, I can't pay the new rate. I mean, I'm already working double shifts as it is. I'm going to work myself into early graves." It's like, "I don't care." To which, yeah, Robert Holmes did managed to work in a few digs at the taxman. He did apparently want to do more and make it true satire, but producer Graham Williams told him, "Yeah, you might want to tone it down a little bit, just purely because if you do more of this kind of stuff against the taxman, then some people may find that divisive." But some of his did still sneak through, including that the collector and the gatherer, their kind of inner circle is known as inner retinue, and apparently they did want part of the story to involve something like giant Barclay cards, but Graham Williams shot that down, saying, "Yeah, no, that would be free advertisement for Barclay card. Yeah, we don't want to do that." Other things, though, did slip their way through, such as what the characters who are working for the big companies, they use the corridors that are central on Pluto are given various numbers to refer to areas of taxes, such as P45, and also PCM, suppressant gas they use to keep the residents of Pluto in line, actually refers to per calendar month. Yeah. Supposedly, also, according to the leaflet that was in the inside of the DVD, they did briefly consider killing off Leela in this story, which, I don't know, isn't hard to believe, because at the end of part 3 of this story, it shows that they managed to capture Leela and plan to put her to death via steaming. So part of me does think, maybe if they had gone through with it, they could have actually killed off Leela here, but Leela was eventually given a non-death and married to Andred in The Invasion of Time, which I have already done a review of somewhere here. But anyway, the actual story itself, rather than just the satire, they arrive on Pluto, and yeah, Pluto is heavily taxed. They meet Cordo, and they discover that they're under the control of the Collector, a mysterious kind of man or creature in a wheelchair, played by Henry Wolfe, Gatherer Haid, who I've already mentioned, played by Richard Leach, and also under Gatherer Haid is a woman called Marn, played by Juliana Scott, who definitely seems less keen on it, but seemingly just goes through it for the sake of survival. However, Cordo, after being saved by the Doctor and Leela, he realises that he's going to have to go underground, go into the Undercity, and join the rebellion, because he's heard that there is a rebellion going down below. To which they head down into the Undercity and discover a rebellion against the Taxman, led by a man named Mandrel, played by William Simons, and a woman named Veet, played by Adrienne Burgess. And they kind of want to fight back against the company running Pluto, but seemingly Mandrel is like, well, it's not so much fighting back, I mean, we're just going to have to fight to survive. We're just going to have to kind of get the money ourselves, get food, and just do the best we can while avoiding the Taxman. To which they also end up getting captured and finding another Resistance member named Bisson, played by David Rowlands. Ultimately, this is a story where I do like that the kind of big bad villains do actually get what they deserve in the end, because the Doctor and Leela and K9, as well as with Cordo, Bisson, Mandrel and Veet, they do actually manage to cite a revolution, and after managing to stop the supply to the city of PCN, the suppressant gas, they managed to kind of incite people to kind of throw down their tools and rise up against the corporation. To which a lot of the workers end up meeting Gatherer Haid on the roof of a skyscraper, and while Gatherer Haid tells them, like, you need to get back to work, they eventually just say, no, look, we live under your tyranny for far enough, and they end up rather gruesomely throwing him off the top of the skyscraper, to which we don't actually get to see his death, and it's rather pushed off as rather comedic, but at the same time, this isn't a character that you hope could change and become good, like Marn. Like Marn, when she ends up meeting some of the Resistance members in a corridor, she says to them, I've come to join the Resistance. To which, yeah, you can definitely see she was behind the people who did bad things, but she ultimately just did it for her own survival. She still felt bad when bad things happened. So when she joins the revolution, yeah, you're glad to see her join. Whereas Haid, yeah, you're pretty much glad to see him go. I mean, it's pretty gruesome the way he gets killed off by thrown off the top of the building, but you don't see the impact. So, And it's ultimately discovered that the Collector is actually an alien creature who's something like the Doctor said, sentient seaweed. He took the form of a human being, and at the end, when they asked, well, why do you take the form of a human being? It's like, would you take orders from sentient seaweed? Maybe, maybe not. So ultimately, this is a story full of satire, and definitely a dig at Robert Holmes' bugbear. But at the same time, I think it's a fun story. I was hesitant to watch this one after kind of hearing about it for years. I kind of thought it would be overly comedic. But at the same time, it's got some really dark moments, and it does manage to do some cool stuff with it. Ultimately, The Sunmakers. What do you make of it? Let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, I've only surprisingly now actually got 2 Fourth Doctor stories to watch through. Which, how did that happen? I don't know. The only 2 I've got left are Image of the Fendal and The Creature from the Pit. Plus, also, I'll maybe do Sharda at the end. I've read through Sharda the book, but maybe I'll do Sharda someday. But until then, that's my quick little review of the Doctor Who story, The Sunmakers. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, until next time, see ya.